let's hear from Sam.
8 years ago, I was driving down the A14. It was late at night. I'd left work late as usual. The road was empty, but my mind was full of torturous thoughts. I'd been depressed and stressed for such a long time, but this was just a whole nother level. The love of my life had just left me. I don't know if you've ever felt like so alone that you feel like you have no one. In that moment, I closed my eyes and I let go of the steering wheel. I could see my car veering off into the verge and flipping a few times, just me dying on impact. And then a voice came in and said, "You stupid cow, what are you doing? This is so selfish. Your mum and dad will be devastated. Just get home." So I drove home. I sat down and I thought, how did I get here? You know, I did everything right. I got the degree, I got the first from Bristol, I got the job after uni at a pharmaceutical company. I'm now running my own business, you know, sales are great. How have I got here? But none of that mattered to me because I had this internal struggle. I'd never thought I could get help or change because I'd always been like this. But at that point, I didn't really have a lot of choice. So I found myself a therapist. His name was Rob. He was 6'5", built like a brick shithouse, looked more like a thug than a therapist. But I sat down and I told him my whole sob story, you know, how I'd been anxious and depressed all my life, and now the person I loved had left me. And he listened to it all and he said, "Yeah, you've created this whole shitstorm by yourself." I said, "What? What do you mean? Why would I want to be ill? Why would I want to be stressed? Why would I do this to myself?" He just looked at me and said, it's all about your thinking. So, you know, the way that you think has created all of this stress for yourself. And then the penny dropped. I thought, if I've done this to myself, then I'm responsible, and that means that I can make the change. I can choose something different. So 10 weeks, 10 sessions, many, many tears on the floor. The kitchen floor was my new best friend. But after the sessions, I did start to feel a bit better. I started to feel hopeful. I thought, actually, no, I am worthy. I can be happier. I can have this amazing life that everyone else seems to have. I had this vision of moving to Boston, and I really wanted to have a really good group of girlfriends because it's something I didn't have. And that's what I did. I moved to Boston. I somehow managed to meet these amazing friends. It was just like Sex and the City. We'd go to brunch every Sunday and talk about boys. I set up a business out there, and just my life just changed within a very, very short space of time, and it was all just to do with the way I was thinking. So I don't know if you've been where I was in the car and feeling like you haven't got any other choice, but I just beg of you, please, if you ever get into that sort of situation, you can think differently. So you can choose love, you can choose joy, you can choose connection, and you can choose to do whatever lights you up every single day, because that's what this world needs right now. There's people like you doing what you love. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sam. That's really wonderful story. And yeah, it's all a matter of choice, like whether you are living happily or you are stressed. That is a matter of choice. Okay, let's hear from the judges.
Okay, well done. As I said to you before, when you shared that with me before tonight, it's a really brave story. And what came across tonight was a lot of real loveliness from you. I loved your call to action at the end for everyone. The way you said that, you just absolutely shone through. And yes, you did seem a little nervous at the beginning, but that's a huge thing to share. I'm not surprised that you felt a little bit nervous. My only piece of feedback for you is to watch your intonation. Because there's a lot of times when you're ending up with the Australian question
Yep.
intonation, and it makes me wonder if you believe what you're saying, or you know the point that I'm making. So I just say watch that back and just make a note of that for yourself, so that you can make your points, especially when you're in that deep emotional part, with complete conviction, and you can hold that quite dramatic, quite low space for your audience.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Sam, really good job, and I totally echo Harriet's sentiments on sharing a story like that can be incredibly tough, so you held it together really well. I want to give you a couple of things, actually, not so much on content, but there are a couple of things that you could do to intensify that story that, without changing anything that you've said. And the first one was pauses. So there were pauses in what you did there, but I couldn't tell whether they were on purpose or whether you were composing yourself in them. Which
Bit of both, I
bit
think.
of both, okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why I couldn't tell was because of where you were looking, and two, there was a big that came through as well. So if I was going to give you a couple of things, it would be when you pause, really try and make people feel the silence. So don't let your breathing kind of get in the way. So maybe some breathing before you go on stage can kind of help with that. And then secondly, don't be afraid when you're allowing people to feel that to make eye contact, because it just makes it like you'll get people feeling, and you kind of want that because people will remember it way more if you can take them through that journey. But I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.